Washington football. Woo! Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Burgundy Zone. I am your host, Kyle. I am joined by my co-host, Michael Hall. We have a guest co-host for today, Mr. Corey Sanchez, who you guys might have seen on the Amazon Prime documentary they uploaded to Facebook, which is absolutely insane. But the title of tonight's episode is The Millennium Falcon. Looking ahead, the Commanders going and facing against the Falcons for a millennial opportunity to actually get into the playoffs here. And the Burgundy Zone is a part of the Frederick Podcast Network. You can find out more by going to www.listenfrederick.com. But we are joined the day after Christmas by a man himself, Mr. Anthony Armstrong, which took the Washington social media sphere by just rocked them with that celebratory video he had after Washington beat the Eagles. How was your Christmas, brother?
Man, I'm good, man. Thanks for having me. I gotta say shout out to the wife for taking the video of that. Now, mind you, I didn't say, "Hey, video me doing this."
Right.
I was just truly like, I'm watching the game, and she just happened to wisely, pull out the phone and take video. And I was like, let me just go on and share this. I didn't know it was gonna go 200K plus. Like, that's what's up. That's what a little virality feel like. No, Christmas was great, man. And you saw how excited I was. That's how it feels when the kid likes the gift that you got him, right? You like, that's what I'm talking about. He enjoyed it. So that's how it was. How was y'all's Christmas?
It was great. I uploaded a video. We got our kids' bikes along with other things, but my daughter, she came in the room screaming. At one point, she goes, "All right!" Like, and she's only 2, so that was like you said. That's what it's all about, Anthony. And speaking of what it's all about, brother, I got to ask you, in that last touchdown that Jayden Daniels had to Jamison Crowder, I'm sure you've seen the still photo of Jamison not being over Zach Bond, the linebacker, yet. And Jayden just delivers that thing, knowing where Jamison is going. That kind of throw, that anticipatory kind of throw, that's something that not everybody has, right?
That's what had me slapping the ground. That's why I was doing that, because that throw, like, you see it and you know that you can do it, but then to execute it is very rare. Very few can make that throw. And I mean, you say, "Oh, it's just wide open," but to have the confidence, because really, if you look at just the way your body moves, okay, Zach Bond, whatever, the linebacker was facing this way. His body was not going to allow him to stop, pivot, and turn to make a play on where that ball was going to be placed. You only see it on Madden, only in video games will they have that type of dynamic, right? Like, that's video game stuff. It didn't happen for real. So understanding that Jamison's running at full speed, and you know that there's a window there. If you wait to see him open, it's a pick from the other side, or he's going to get hit. So that was the perfect throw. That's why I was jumping, yelling, and screaming, because I was like, that throw there is elite, and that's what makes him. He's going to make him the rookie of the year.
Oh, 100%. And speaking of that, like you mentioned, Jamison Crowder, he had a hell of a game. Zacchaeus obviously had a hell of a game as well. Just obviously the receiving core, a lot's been made of, like, outside of Terry. There's never been like that opposite guy next to Terry. But just for two guys like that have bounced around the league and to have big games like that, what does that mean for, like, not just for those guys, but just for the offense and the team as a whole?
Man, I think it just continues to show what they've been doing all year long, right? We've had that question, who's going to be wide receiver 2, and obviously offensive line, and they've continued to go out, and Jayden's continued to go out to throw it to 7+, 8+ receivers every single game. And the results have been different and they've been varied, but now you're starting to see a little bit of a different iteration. I think Jamison Crowder brings something different to this team. He brings a slot receiver who's a veteran. He's going to be trustworthy. And you got to think he's been sitting back just chilling. I don't say chilling, but he's been sitting back working and getting ready for this. I've called him that wily vet, the guy that's at the end. He's 35 years old, but you bring him in when there's like 7, 8, 10, 20 games left in the NBA season. That's what Crowder is right now. So he's going to make a big impact, not only on special teams. I thought it was going to be a big special teams impact, but on offense, it seems like it's going to be that much bigger of a role. Because you can't really, I won't say you can't trust Luke, but if I had to take a rookie receiver that is new to the position and try to say, here, go play in the slot, Nah, that's not smart football. Give me the vet. Let me get somebody who's been out there before and let him go out there and hold it down.
Yeah, and obviously now we're going to go to Corey, who is at the Opera House before he performs in a little bit. So, Corey, do you have something for Anthony?
Yeah, well, Anthony, nice to meet you for the first time, but a big fan. I always remember Green Bay in the move, so I always remember that. But we've always had this discussion in the fan base, and more. There it is, right there, beautiful. That's beautiful. That's gorgeous. I
Still
plan
got
that
it.
too. You're going to get a picture of me printed up like that, Kyle, so I can sign for you later. Uh, I'm kidding, but the discussion about Terry McLaurin now, and I mean, I've been hesitant to use the word with him, but now that he has that quarterback, we closed down Quintanamo Bay for a little bit as well. Talk about his growth. I know it's weird to say it in like his fifth season, but his growth, and is he in that word category now amongst the NFL wide receivers?
12
I think
touchdowns.
12 touchdowns on the season, career high, second in the NFL. 5, 6 years straight, over 1,100 yards. He's in the word conversation. He's elite. He's been there. It's just been nobody wanted to put that title to anybody that's been associated with this organization. That's been the thing. Nobody wanted to say anybody from Washington was elite. I mean, Terry shouldn't have been here. Terry should have left. Terry probably should have left a few years ago. You know, a lot of people, I don't know if they understand how appreciative you should be that you have a player of his caliber that decided to stay, and wanted to be a part of something that's getting rebuilt. And the fact that he's having success now, it's all owed to him. He's been elite. It just never got the credibility because he didn't have somebody throwing him the ball. Now you got a dog back there that's giving him the rock. And you're seeing what he can really be. And I think there's even more to his game. If you get another receiver that's going to really take some attention away, I think you can get even more yards out of Terry McLaurin.
Love to hear it, Anthony. Now, let's fast forward to Sunday evening going against the Atlanta Falcons. Looking defensively, looking at their offense, they have Drake London on the outside. Obviously, they brought Michael Penix is going to be starting here. But who would you limit? Like, because they have Bijan Robinson out there, Darnell Mooney is nobody to really sleep on. So who would you really limit heading if you were a defensive coordinator looking at on offense for Atlanta?
Man, you know what? I think you have to focus on the youth, and there's a lot of youth on that offense. But I think the youngest player with the least amount of experience is Michael Penix Jr. He has the arm talent and the accuracy to make the throws all over the field. But I think you have to hit him up with some variety. Because if you say, "Oh, let's take away Drake London," you may find that Kyle Pitts decides to have a day, and he's a mismatch for a lot of people. You mentioned Darnell Mooney. The guy's able to make a lot of plays. He was a favorite of Kirk Cousins. He's still going to be a favorite of Michael Penix, but then also in the backfield, Bijan Robinson. He's a weapon himself. So who do you focus on? You can't really choose. I think you just try to confuse the hell out of Michael Penix Jr. Because right now I don't know what you're going to have with Marshawn Lattimore. Hamstrings can be tricky, and thankfully the game is a night game, so that gives you just a few more hours of treatment. Just that much more time could be just one more visit to the doctor that can help you get something done. But yeah, try to limit what Michael Penix Jr. can do confidently. Slow down his processing speed, different looks, dropping people out. And frankly, I didn't say that on purpose, but kind of like Corey set his up, Frankie Louvu is going to be your key piece to slowing down Michael Penix.
Yeah, Frankie Louvu is definitely that chess piece that Quinn and Witt can move all over the board and rush the passer. I mean, he baited Kenny Pickett into a great interception.
Beautiful, wasn't it?
That was literally like a masterpiece of like linebacker play right there. But speaking of the defense, you mentioned Marshawn Lattimore. He might not be able to go. We're going to see, like you mentioned, Sunday night. But the other guy that backs him up, Benjamin St-Juste. It's almost at this point, it's like when he gets on the field, it's like when you know something's going to go wrong, like when something can go wrong, it will go wrong type of thing when he gets on the field. And I'm sure you played wide receiver in the NFL coming up throughout your career. You've looked across at a cornerback and been like, yeah, I'm about to torch this dude. So, like, as a cornerback, like, what can St-Juste, if anything, do to kind of get his confidence back and maybe get back to that level that he was playing at maybe I want to say 2 years ago? I feel like he had a pretty solid year.
man, how do you bounce back, right? How do you bounce back and get off of a schneid? Number one, you got to go back and look at your highlights. You got to go back and look at your highlights. It's so easy to go and find the bad plays and say, well, don't do this again. Don't do this again. Go back and look at the badass shit you've done. All right. Go find those highlights and look them up. Put them up there and remember that type of stuff. That's going to reignite that dog in you. And then two, man, I would truly say, I'm being in all seriousness, meditate, right? Get into some meditation, focus on your mental health, because you're going to be put back in those situations and you're going to have to step up and make those plays, because I mean, hey, it was that one that missed tackle. That missed tackle, AJ Brown made that conversion. Oh, yeah. So,
good thing that wasn't recorded.
The thing is, I don't want to pile on the guy. You know what I mean? I don't want to pile on the guy because really, this is a point where, hey, look, if you got to get back in here, I don't need everybody in Commanders Nation, giving this guy hell, right? He already feels it inside. He already knows, okay, oh Lord, I'm back out here. I got benched before, and now Twitter's gonna go crazy. Maybe just these last couple of weeks, y'all just say, hey man, go have a good game. Let's go lock in. All right, big matchup this week. That's it. He already knows what type of pressure it is. He don't need to log into social media and see people dragging him down. So as much as he needs to get his mind right, I think the fan base can get behind him a little bit more and support him in this matchup. Hell, watch the tape and then tweet what you see the tells are. Please do. They got film out there. We can watch the all 22. If we're going to complain about it, at least give them a little bit of tape that's going to help. Hey, man, I found a little tell. He has a little skip in his step before he runs this slant. Put it out there. You might as well. Until they shut it down, you might as well give a little help.
Absolutely. Now, Corey, what do you got?
Yeah, I mean, if he keeps on doing what he's doing, I already said I'm calling ICE to just have him escorted across the northern border. But turnovers was a big problem last week. I mean, you don't win games we call them 6 turnovers because that turnover on downs as well. In 6-1, if you take out that fumble at the end of the game. What do you do on you come back on Wednesday or Tuesday or whatever, and you're in film? What is, I guess, from your standpoint, is what's the discussion going on? How do we correct these turnovers? Rob, I mean, the interceptions by Jayden as well, and Diami's interception fumble as well. So what's that conversation going to be like?
First things first, they walk in the building, I'm handing them one of these. Here you go. Put this in your hands. Everybody's got one. It's high and tight all day. If it gets back in my office, that's $5,000 or whatever fine I can give you. $5K may be a little bit too high, but you understand the severity of the situation, right? I need Rob walking around the facility with the ball in his hand. Bobby Wagner's punching at that thing, and they're gonna be really raking at the ball. You got to take care of the football. Diami was starting to really get to his role, was about to explode. He ran the deep ball 50-yard catch, come back, and they give him the screen, which he's been money on, and then he has that fumble. All right, so it's like, hey, secure the football. That's my first message. Everybody knows you don't got to go, ain't no yelling. We already know what we're here for. Secure the football. That's my first thing. It's in your hands. Take care of it. Don't let it get back to my office. That's my first thing. The passing ones, the one thing I noticed about the interceptions is that he was throwing it to Luke McCaffrey. And I'm not blaming Luke McCaffrey, but I'm sure there's a little bit of difference in like who's seeing what. I think after the first interception, Jayden kind of looked a little bit more animated than usual after the interception. He was like, oh, kind of like, come on, like one of those things. So maybe a little miscommunication there. So I ain't gonna say maybe don't throw it to him, but you get a couple extra reps, watch some more film. Jayden has shown that he can put what he sees back on the field. And I trust him. There you go. The bell goes off. He had a good one. That means I trusted he's going to get that thing cleaned up.
Yeah, absolutely. Would love to hear that. Now, Anthony, to wrap this up, only a couple more questions for you. But like with Penix being a left-handed quarterback, does that change things offensively? I'm not sure if you ever played with a left-handed quarterback when you were in the NFL, but I'm sure you have in your travels. What does it do offensively to change things up for Atlanta? And then defensively, does it do anything for Joe Witt and company to have to adjust?
I did play with Pat White. Remember Pat White out of West
Yep.
Virginia?
Yep.
He was down there
Dog
in
in college.
Miami. Yeah, he was a dog, and he was a lefty. His pass will rotate differently, which was kind of weird. So like if it tails off one way, it'll tail off differently than a right-handed quarterback. So just that's one thing to consider if you're thinking about it as a DB. You may have to flip what the tendencies are, where right-handed quarterbacks generally run certain concepts to their right. Now it could be flipped to their left. So that's something to pay attention to. But once again, they don't have that much tape on Penix to see
Right.
what is his tendency, but that's something to pay attention to. Like, hey, maybe this is more, instead of us coming into it thinking it's a left hash play, now it's a right hash play because he wants to throw it to the field this way. So that's one thing to consider. May change your strength a little bit. All in all, the kid can play. It's still going to be football, nonetheless. So it'll be interesting to see if there's some miscommunication that you can take advantage of. That just his newness could be something that you can just take as an advantageous situation. Let the ball kind of fall where it fall in your hands. You may get lucky on a pick or something.
Yeah, look, I know Dorrance usually rushes over the right tackle. Just didn't know if maybe they would flip Fowler and Dorrance in that sense because obviously the quarterback, his blind side being different now. But my next question for you, it's supposed to rain heavily on Sunday night. My wife and I are going. I've said this many times. I'd take the 40 to 50 degree weather and rain over 10 degrees or less any day of the week. But was rain what did you have to make any adjustments for a game like that?
I don't like playing in the rain because it affects so many things. Right? It's the ball is wet, it's heavier. Can you grip it? Are you able to wear gloves or not? Then you talk about the field. I think this year and past few years, the field has been in good condition and good shape all season. But you got to talk about how saturated it is. Is it going to be mushy? Is it going to give? Are you able to run the offense that you really want to run? Right? Like that's something to consider. If it's not a fast track, if it's wet and marshy, you may not be able to be as fast and as speedy as you want to be. You may have to start handing that sucker off and make it a very physical matchup. So, if anything, you got to look at who you're playing. All right, playing the Falcons. They play in that big, pretty dome with cheap concessions. They don't got it. They don't got to deal with weather. They got $2 hot dogs and 75 degrees. It's always dry. They have to make the biggest adjustments. Okay. Washington, hey, you can practice outside. They're going to dunk the ball in a bucket of water and say, hey, this is the best we can replicate it at this moment. But changing spikes and things like that, it's going to come down to fundamentals. So once again, you may fall into something on defense where, receiver slips, the ball's thrown, and oh, look at me. Benjamin St. Juice got his swag back because he got a pick.
My man. In particular, like a player type.
Kyle's favorite celebration.
I'm asking for a certain reason. I'm asking for like a certain answer here, but is there a certain player or type of player that would benefit from these sort of conditions? Because like I equate it to, have you ever seen a Ford Mustang try to drive in a field when it's rainy out versus an all-wheel drive truck?
I understand that. I can see that. You saying like having a B. Robinson or
Correct.
Chris Rodriguez is going to be helpful rather than having a Bijan Ferrari.
Right.
You know what I mean? And a fast Kyle Pitts and a Drake London, a thing. I get that. I can see that being a thing. It slows down a lot of that wide open stuff that you wanted to do. Are you able to just put your hands in the ground and go run and play power football? So I see where you're going with that. It could be a Brian. High and tight, B-Rob. High and tight.
That's what I'm saying, Anthony. I can't. You're absolutely right. Last question I have for you, Anthony, before I let you get out of here, get back to your family. Jonathan Allen possibly being added back to this defense. How big is it going to be adding Jonathan Allen back?
Man, I think having some depth and a relatively fresh body, what has shown to be a kind of porous run defense, right? Going into late into the season, he may not be back this week, but you got Bijan, Rico Dowdle down here in Dallas decides to damn, it's a lot of D's. Rico Dowdle down here in Dallas decides to just go off, right? 150 yards. I was trying to find another one, but I couldn't figure it out. But he goes off for another 149 something yards against the Bucs. So they've found a commitment to the run all of a sudden. You don't you've already put it on tape that you've been a little bit porous against the run as of late. So adding John Allen, it's got to think that's going to help with that, and it's going to give you a valuable veteran rotation piece on that defensive line.
Yeah, especially with Sheldon Day really lighting things up. Deron Payne getting back into the mix. I think he had a sack against the Eagles. So this defensive line truly does need it, and Jonathan Allen will be a fresh breath of air. Anthony, I can't thank you enough for joining us, brother. I'd like to plug your social media handle on your show before you get out of here.
Absolutely. Y'all check me out at Believe Commanders, and that is the show. You can listen to Believe in Commanders on all your favorite streaming platforms. Hit me up at Rated Armstrong on your social platforms as well. I got TikTok as well. I'll be posting stuff over there, motivational stuff. So, anywho.
And for his reactions as well. That's
oh yeah. I'm sitting on. I'm gonna be posting that other video elsewhere, but yeah, check that out.
My man, Anthony, have a great day, brother.
Appreciate y'all. Merry Christmas. Y'all be good.
Merry Christmas, brother. All right, everybody. We just talked to the man, Mr. Anthony Armstrong. Always appreciate his time.
That's my guy.
And Corey, you and Hall being new fathers to the equation, how was your guys' Christmas?
Oh, it was great, man. It's great. It's the first year that I was like, you know what? Seeing him happy is the best present, right?
It is. It truly is.
And that's the awesome thing. My mom asked me, she's like, "What do you want for Christmas?" I said, "Mom, I'm good." She's like, and she got mad at me because of that. But and then the best Christmas present is when you beat the dirty, filthy pigeons, and you have social media coaches on there who have been line coaches and retweets everything that people put out there, and I and they have a name that sounds similar to the Super Bowl trophy, but I'm okay. They went a little too far, but it's just great to silence people like that. And then also, I didn't drop my son before the warranty ran out on him after that touchdown. So I was like, if he had I said, Jayden, if he had missed him or it was another pick, I've been like, that's your fault, brother. I dropped my kid, so I'm suing you. No, I'm kidding, but not a great Christmas, bro. It was a great Christmas. Especially when you get older, you know what it's more about, especially the folks that we've lost over the years and everything, you kind of think about them too. But it's about making new memories. And I was glad to make that with Zane this year, man. It's fun. We got to drive on the track at Bristol Motor Speedway.
Oh, really?
And you got to see the lights too. Yeah. Yeah, don't let the tan fade fool you. We got a little redneck down here too. So.
I couldn't tell that at all. But Hall, before you answer that, Corey, that Amazon thing, like, did you have any idea?
Hand to God, I have no idea. So I'll tell you a story real quick. A guy that I know that comes to the college a lot because his son goes to school here said, hey, he messaged me on Twitter. He's like, hey, you're in this Chiefaholics second. I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? I thought, he saw somebody that looked like me. He was clowning me. Legitimately. He sent it to me. He said, what's your phone number? I'll text this video to you. He texted video to me. And I said, dang, I look fat up in there. But I was like, that's me, man. I was just like, it's cool. It's surreal. It's humbling to be up there with Tom Grossi was on there. I can't think of the Cowboy guy. Law, he was in there too. So it was kind of cool to be in with those big names and just little old me right there in the middle of it. And Fox, call me if you need me to do like a voiceover or something for the Super Bowl. I'm free to do it, bro, because you can make anybody sound good with a little bit of music and some highlights.
Absolutely. If you guys don't know, Corey on Facebook had uploaded a video where from Amazon Prime they did a documentary called Chiefaholics, I would imagine, and It was from this past season before, and he was just on his YouTube channel just talking about the matchup. Jalen Hurts versus Patrick Mahomes, Kelsey versus Kelsey. And they used that on the documentary is what we're referring to. And so little do we know, little 40K over here blowing up in front of our eyes. But
Bro, don't do that to me. Don't do that. Because y'all know y'all 100K. So I'm trying to scrape up to where y'all are. So send me some rations here, please. Because I'm hungry.
My man. Paul, how was your Christmas, dude?
Yeah, it was good. Like you guys both said, just seeing the little ones get all happy, excited, get whatever they wanted, get the stuff that they did want, and then like the baby, like most of the time she has like a grunt on her face because for whatever she looks like has like a mean look on her face, like a mean old grumpy old man. But somehow, some way, Courtney caught like her having like the biggest smile I've ever seen on like a baby. So yeah, it was good. And then the oldest one, she got Legos. She's into Legos now, and lyrics into like Barbies and dolls. She had a bunch of Barbie stuff, so they were definitely pleased and happy, and it was definitely a one for the books.
One thing I did find out about newborns, if you see newborns smile, typically that means they're about to fart, like it's a gastral thing, is what I figured out. Yeah, so if you see a smile, you know what's coming up.
Oh no, she dropped a bomb.
10 months, it's the same way too. 10 months, that boy. Lord, it's like he'd be up in an R. Kelly video after he done smiled in his sleep. So great day.
Yeah, dude. So let's get into answering some fan questions, and then Corey, I don't know how long you have, brother. I don't see that those stands packed yet.
Oh, I got time. Look, I got time. I got time for you because I denied you like 3 times, like Judas with Jesus. So you know what? I'm gonna. I got you. So or. Yeah.
It's Peter, but it's good. It's Peter.
Look,
you're good.
Look, y'all gonna get me for that.
I don't know. I saw Simon Peter, my man. This question from the Colonel Hall: having clinched a wild card berth with our win over the Eagles, have we reached a point where we will be resting starters in the last couple games, or will we be fighting tooth and nail for a higher seeding?
So I think that they have to win one of the next 2 games to actually like legitimately clinch a wild card berth. But to answer the second part of that question, I do think that, and honestly, I think they can clinch before the game even starts if Tampa Bay loses to Carolina or something like that. So I would say that definitely for this week, this Sunday night, even if they already clinch before the game starts due to the 1:00 games, I do think they're going to keep playing because there's still like a slither of a chance that they can somehow catch Green Bay, get up to that 6th seed, which obviously is going to be the more advantageous matchup versus 6 versus the 3 seed, which I think would be the winner of the South. So it'd probably be Tampa Bay or the Falcons again. So yeah, that'd be the more advantageous matchup than going up to Philly, facing them for the 3rd time in Philly up there. But as far as week 18 goes, if there's like no chance of them being able to get to the 6th seed and there's like really nothing to actually like play for, so to say, I could see them maybe resting the guys or maybe playing like a quarter, maybe playing like a half and then rest some guys, get them ready for the playoff game coming up the following week. But I see Dan Quinn just for the culture he's trying to build and the attitude and like trying to just get like a winning culture behind the team. I can definitely see him playing all the guys through week 18 if need be.
Yeah, obviously it's 1 week at a time. Said that so many freaking times, of course. But I will say this, Colonel. Last time I checked, let me check my watch here. Against the Eagles did not clinch the NFC East when they played us. And they lost that game. It looks like Jalen Hurts might not be able to play this weekend, so we don't know how that game is going to shape out for the Eagles, of course. But I would be willing to go as far as say, do you really want to bench guys with the ability to possibly win the NFC East? And I know that's probably crazy to say, but you don't know how these last 2 games are going to shape out. So as much as we would love
to
have that playoff,
listen to the Giants.
I'm just saying, you never know, bro. Washington, just win. That's all you need to do is just win and let the cards fall where they may. One thing I'll say is if they do clinch this weekend, and let's say the Eagles do beat the Giants, win the NFC East this weekend, whatever, that last game, I don't think it's going to be on a major scale. But if it's like guys have some injuries that are going to be something that you want to maybe just give another week on, that's probably a good situation for them to be able to not be in that game. But I don't think it's going to be a widespread, a lot of people being benched and sat. You don't want to lose that edge, especially with how they came out after the bye. We kind of saw how that was. You don't want to mimic that, so to speak. So you want to keep everyone fresh, of course, but in the same breath, you don't want to lose that little extra oomph, if that makes any sense. So I'd be cautious on that. I'd rather everyone just go out and play the game, and if the game goes out of hand, then that's when you kind of get guys out. But if anybody has any lingering bad injuries, then that's probably where you'll see anybody sitting. What about you, Corey?
Yeah, I tell you all this right now. I've said it all season long. We got to live in the moment, right? We can't worry about tomorrow without looking at today. And I know it sounds cliche, but I feel like this is what this team has done all season long, is just looking what's in front of you, looking at the man in the mirror. And if people can't physically go, don't push the envelope, right? But if you can go, if you're hurt, hurt and being injured is two different things. If you're generally injured, okay, maybe we don't need you right now. But if you're just a little hurt, go ahead, you can play a little bit. But you are the designer of your own destiny right now. So do you want to have to wait till Dallas next week, or do you want to handle business this week and leave no doubt? To me, I want to leave no doubt and kind of give myself maybe a makeshift bye week against the Cowboys. So I think you got to rock and roll right now with the guys that you go. And, to me, you have to have a do or die mentality, because at the end of the day, to Hall's point about drawing the easier draw, there are no easy draws in the playoffs, right? You're going to be going on the road. You're going to go into a hostile environment. I think whoever it is, I say bring on the SOB. Whoever it is, if it's Philadelphia again, if it's the Seahawks, if it's Atlanta again, let's go on. We got to beat these dudes right there, right here and now, because they think they're gonna bring us our best shot. So we need to hit them in the mouths and bring them their best shot. So, and I think we've seen over the years that the team that's the hottest and that's hitting on all cylinders and playing usually can make a run in the playoffs.
Absolutely agree with you. The battled bastards of Bastogne, the 101st Airborne up 506. They've got to surround us. They've got us surrounded, those poor bastards. And that's how Washington has kind of finished out that Eagles game. I would imagine we're going to have the same feeling in the playoffs with whoever that we do face. Once we get there, if we're able to get there. Now, this next question, Corey, is from our boy, Tony Franchise. So you talked about Fox earlier. This is the guy to talk to. His question is, with the team one win away from the playoffs, how good does it feel to be talking playoffs instead of possible draft picks in December?
I hate talking about the draft.
Thank you.
I hate it. I despise it. So it's a beautiful, glorious thing to talk about the P word. I'm not using it until we clinch it. So it's beautiful to use to talk about opportunities past Week 18 in the National Football League. I love it. The negativity is just at a murmur, and there are some people who do this for a living, right, with the draft and everything. I see former scouts out there trying to sell South Carolina quarterbacks to us and everything. That's a heck of a Christmas present from my wife, right? But yeah, man, it's great to be talking about it, man. That's the best thing, because we have not just hope, we have opportunity. Not hope. Both of those things are great, man. So I love it, and I can't wait to be talking about this. Hopefully, for a few weeks into January.
Oh, I'll quote Walt Disney, who said, "Doing the impossible is fun." And so, how is it being in the talking playoffs? It's awesome, given the circumstances of what this team has done. A lot of turnover in the offseason, rookie quarterback, brand new head coach, brand new GM. For what they've been able to do this season, something that nobody has really seen before, where you can't look at them and say they are really, really good in this sort of area. The awesome thing about this team and the fact that they're in the playoffs is that they are an island of misfit toys, but their strength is them together. And I know it's kind of weird saying that, but it's true. They don't really have something that puts you over. They don't have, you could say, a Justin Jefferson. They don't have a TJ Watt or a Max Crosby or a stellar running back, right? Like, they are much more the whole mindset of the entire team. So how good is it? It's amazing. And it's awesome it's been a lot of fun to witness them do the impossible, doing something that nobody thought they were going to do. A lot of people had them picking 5 to 6 wins this year, and they were able to, as a group, come in a short amount of time and really punch some people in the mouth and surprise people. And I'm excited to see them continue to do so. They have all the ability in the world. It's just how long can they stay together and can they fix the turnovers? Now, I don't mean by not committing them. I mean by getting them, producing them. So far, Washington only has, I think, 6 interceptions on the year and 14 forced fumbles. To be able to go far as much as we would like to, you need to pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers. You know what I'm saying? Matthew McConaughey. We need to pump those rookie numbers up. But it honestly, Tony, it's the same feeling for everybody. It's awesome. It's really cool because it isn't like 2012. It isn't like 2007 with Todd Collins and company. Like, this is different in the sense of from the start to finish, they have really been lighting the league on fire, and now everyone's on notice.
Yeah, it's funny. I didn't even know this was going to be the next question. Whenever we were answering the last question, I was just sitting here thinking to myself, like, man, like we're about to have possibly like a playoff podcast. Like, this is going to be pretty tight. And I was like thinking, like, damn, it's been literally since like 2020 when we started like doing this like twice a week, whatever it may be.
Right.
Since we've had like a playoff podcast. So to answer your question, it feels great to actually be having meaningful football in December, going into January. Potential playoff podcast talking about a playoff football, hopefully a playoff win we'll have 2 weeks of playoff podcast. But yeah, to answer your question, feels great. Definitely, like I was one of the people who are like, if everything goes exactly perfectly right, they can get 9, maybe 10 wins. And I mean, obviously everything hasn't gone perfectly right. It's mostly just been Jayden Daniels has been the guy that we all thought he was going to be. And the coaching staff putting these guys in position. It took a while for the defense to kind of get going, but it seems like once the defense kind of like found their footing and Joe Wick kind of mixed and matched the guys on the field and found who fits where, who does what the best. It seems like the defense has started playing well, started playing better. And it's definitely been a lot of complimentary football as far as like the run game, opening up the passing game for Jayden, the defense getting stops whenever they needed, the bend but don't break mentality of the defense where they might give up a couple big plays here and there, but they're going to hold you to a field goal, or they might turn you over in the red while you're in your red zone or something like that, get the ball back to Jayden. So, yeah, definitely not going to say I expected a season like this, but it's definitely a breath of fresh air, and I'm excited for the last 2 weeks and into the playoffs, and I'm 1,000% excited for the 2025 offseason and that next season because I feel like this is the start and the beginning of something that's going to be really, really special going forward.
Yeah, and Tony, to answer your question in a visual sense, I feel a lot like Robert Griffin III yesterday on the Netflix, or like motorboat, eating whatever the hell he was. Like that's what it feels like.
Was what he was eating.
That's what I thought. Everyone said motorboat, and I was like, I'm not sure if that's what he was eating.
That man was eating some butt. That's what he was doing.
Oh, come on,
Big
man.
Penix energy, right?
I was going to say, it's too bad that Reed's not here. Hopefully he'll be there on Sunday because if you need to beat Penix, that's the man to do it. Now, the next question that we have, this one's in the Discord. This is from Yam Sensei Hall. How can the team keep the pedal down and close out this season with 2 more wins while also trying to manage injuries and overall health heading into the playoffs? Do they just throw caution to the wind, or do they game plan for better overall protection for key components and players?
I think they just got to do what they've been doing all season. Like I feel like people say, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And obviously, there's like some things that they can tighten up, they can fix, they can scheme a little bit better. And I think Cliff Kingsbury today said that the running game has been off the past couple of weeks because they've been playing with paralysis by analysis type, or analysis by paralysis type thing, where guys are pretty much just thinking too much. So I just feel like they need to get back to what they were doing in the beginning of the season, just simple football. Kyle's gonna probably smell ear to ear, just simple smash mouth football, run the football, get the running game going, and just get back to, like I said, doing what you were doing in the beginning of the season, where it just seemed like everything was just so simple, so easy. And yeah, I don't think they need to do any extra game planning. Just stick to what you've been doing all season. Stick to what's gotten you to this point, and I think everything should be fine.
Yeah, in the old term, Yam, ignorance is bliss, right? And I think that's to kind of answer your question. Like the simple way of going about it is just doing exactly what you've been doing. Like the Tank Dell injury is not something that you can game plan and take away. Like in football, those things just happen,
Side
right?
note, dog, that man has been shot,
Mhm.
tore his ACL, and got his kneecap dislocated all within like an 18-month span. So like
So
that's just crazy.
the colonel was
Nitrous.
the colonel was over here for that game and we watched it, and seeing CJ Stroud on the sideline crying and everything, like, I'm sorry, I had a weak moment. I was like, well, get your head back into it, man. You still got a football game to win. Like he didn't die. You know what I mean? Like you're still gonna see him afterwards. You still call him. You know what I mean? Like it's just
Their
weird.
season died, Kyle. That's what it was.
Dude, that was weird for me. I understand that's your boy. You're very upset. He just got injured. It's not on a human level. You don't want to see anybody get injured or anything like that. But in the same breath, I feel like you're the head guy. You're the leader of the team here. You still have stuff to go out and do. It's kind of hard to, and you kind of saw how that played out, right? But honestly, Yam, you don't want to go into it thinking that you have to limit things in order to protect people or change things. You can't go into it with that mindset. Once you do that, you're already limiting yourself and losing. Just go out there and play your game. Do you have anything to add, Corey?
No, Kyle, you said exactly what I was gonna say. I was gonna say like the bonehead thing, like eat what's in front of you. You can't worry about where your next meal is coming from. All you got is the potted meat sandwich that's right in front of you. I know Reed probably eats that and some Vienna sausages. So you got to eat that with what's in front of you. You don't know where it's coming from.
You're absolutely right. Now this next question, Corey, is from Deluxe. You know Penix is going to try to shoot his shot. What can be done to keep him wrapped up?
Exotic. You got to be exotic. Confuse the
Wrap the Penix.
Yeah. You're gonna have to snap and break the Penix off. And I mean, you could say you attack him at the head or whatever, but I think it's just getting to it. It's overloading that backside on the right because that's where flipping because you've dealt with right-handed quarterbacks. So his blind side's going to be that on that right side. So that's where I think you need to go. The Giants held them to 0 touchdown passes on Sunday and an interception, even though the Giants are putrid. So, I mean, with that being said, I think that we can do this too. I think you have to look at a lot of his tape at Washington too, because that's where he made a name for himself. And I'm pretty sure that's what Joe Witt's doing. And, I think that's where it's going to come from. Exotic blitzes, confusing him, mismatching, all that good stuff. And praying to God that you get a voodoo man on Benjamin St. Juice to pray all the devil out of him in that respect. But, I think so because, let's be honest, he's got a couple of weapons he can play with, too. So, it's going to be locking down those guys on the edge, too, so on the outside.
Yes, and to answer your question, Deluxe, in a good sense, like I said before, how do you keep him wrapped up? Is you go call Reed. He'll beat the hell out of him. But it's funny because I put on Twitter the other day, which was a total joke on Christmas Eve, saying, Penix tends to stiffen up with pressure in his face, and not that many people got it originally, and I was blown away by that. I even showed it to my wife. And somebody said something about wrapping him up, and I said, you got to wrap him up in order to contain the big play, the explosive play. And nobody really got that one either. But in all honesty, I think what Anthony was talking about is absolutely right. With how many weapons they have offensively, the one way you get after and limit that offense is going to the source, is getting after Penix, keeping him off of his base. Penix is a good runner, but he's not somebody that depends on it or that's his first reaction. So what you have to do is you have to have interior pressure. And you saw with Jayden Daniels' interception last week, Deluxe, where that pressure's in his face. He throws a little bit high, and regardless if Luke was running the right route or not, that ball goes high, it turns into a pick. That you have to create that pressure in his face for Penix in order for him to be confused and to create those situations for you. And so it's going to the source. It's attacking the source. And being a rookie quarterback, you want to throw the kitchen sink at him. And you want him confused. You want him sitting in chaos. Last thing you want to do is go into it the same mindset you did with Cooper Rush, where Cooper Rush was able just to sit back there all day and be able to diagnose your defense and pick you apart one by one. You don't want that with Penix. You want to force him to move his feet and to have him think a little bit and adjust on the fly there, and that's what ultimately that's how you kind of limit that offense.
Yeah, you guys pretty much said what I was gonna say. I would say also, I feel like since this is only the second start, first to go back and watch what they did to him in the national championship game, going back to last year in college football, kind of see what they did, study that tape, and kind of base your game plan kind of around that, because all year Michael Penix was lighting people up in college football. He got to the best defense in college football against Michigan. We saw what happened in the national championship game. So I would say that is number one. Number two is got to stop Bijan Robinson. Everything in that offense runs through him. And I feel like if you stop Bijan on Sunday night with Michael Penix only his second start, I feel like a guy like Joe Witt will hopefully be able to take advantage of his inexperience of playing and getting like those reps and be able to like disguise stuff, roll coverage certain ways. And yeah, like I said, but really it just comes down to if you can stop Bijan Robinson in the ground game. I think that this offense is really limited, especially with a guy that doesn't have a lot of experience. And it's kind of like that Jalen Hurts game plan with the Eagles, where it's like, all right, we're going to stuff the box. We're not, even though Saquon did kill us in the first quarter, but we're not going to let Saquon kill us. In theory, we're not going to let Saquon kill us in theory, and we're going to make Jalen Hurts beat us in the passing game. This is kind of the same thing this week, where it's like, all right, we got to not let Bijan beat us, and if Michael Penix beat us in the passing game in his second start, so be it. But that's how I feel like they should attack this game.
Yeah, that national championship game, Michigan was able to run all over that Washington defense, and it really forced Washington into a passing situation, and which obviously opened the doors for Michigan to get after him.
Play from behind.
Yeah, and so that's the kind of MO you want to go into this game with, is really control the clock, keep Penix on the sideline, but when he is in there, just go after him all day and make him chaotic and uncomfortable, of course. And Mikey Sammer still probably has a lot of keys to add into that equation, being on that Michigan defense, of course. Now, Corey, this next question from Big Tony Shivers. Who are some key players in the Atlanta defense we have to account for?
They got Judon, right? Judon had a pick 6 last week. They got Bates there, Terrell. Those are guys that, Big Grady Jarrett. Fun fact is, his dad is the leading tackler all time in Atlanta Falcons history. I can't think of what his dad's name is.
Really?
Father. Yeah, you'll look it up. He was a linebacker. Grady Jarrett's been there for years, and he plays at a high level. So those are guys that, when I think of the Atlanta Falcons on defense, those are the cats that kind of stick out to me there. Matt Judon, he got a new lease on life when he got traded there to the Falcons from the Patriots, right? So, those are guys that I would look out for, especially, let's be honest, another rookie quarterback. Jayden is him, but he's still a rookie, and you got a lot of crafty veterans on that defense, and then especially with Raheem Morris being the head coach there on the other side. He's a good defensive mind. We saw what he did in L.A. Even his time in Tampa Bay as a head coach. We saw that he had some pretty good defenses there as well. So, and being the defense coordinator there. But, those are the 4 guys I'm looking at on that defense.
Yeah, like obviously the Falcons defense are 32nd in the NFL for sacks. So that's something that you have to take into consideration. But the thing is, they've been heating up as of late. I would imagine the Judon addition is having to do a lot with that. Jesse Bates is somebody you're immediately going to go to, the big name they gave a big contract to. Obviously, Grady Jarrett there in the middle. But I would add my a guy that I really liked in the pre-draft eval, and Troy Anderson, the linebacker, I think from Montana State or Montana. Yeah. He's a bigger guy. He's very athletic. I think he played multiple positions in college. A bigger guy that you have to take it, like that's one of you could circle to say matchup kind of things with. But that's somebody you have to take into consideration of throwing over the middle. You can't throw it high. He's somebody that's going to be able to get there for you. So if you want to, that's somebody you could take advantage of with shift to your backs. But this is an athletic guy. You can't underrate him at all, in my opinion. But there's a lot of good playmakers on that defense. And this is another one of those things for Jayden to take control of the football, take care of it, and make sure that you just ground and pound, especially with the wet weather, and you make sure you inflict their will upon them. But Corey did a good job with that. Anybody else to add, mister?
No, I was gonna say just Jesse Bates is the main guy for me. He's a playmaker. He can come down, thump you in the run game, force fumbles. He can play the deep safety, coverage, pick the ball off. Um, he's like one of their like leaders on the defense. He's good at disguising stuff. So I would say Jesse Bates is a guy, crafty veteran, like he's like Corey said, big contract. So yeah, definitely a guy that you're gonna have to look out for in the passing game because I do feel like the running game hopefully is gonna get back on track. I feel like B-Rob's probably gonna have a bounce back game, but I think that to win this game, obviously they're gonna have to run the ball, control the clock. But I think that Jayden's gonna have to throw a couple touchdowns to put some points on the board for us, or at least stretch the field to get some points on the board. So Jesse Bates is a guy that I'm going to be looking out for, and hopefully, I know Cliff is keying on a guy like that too as well.
Absolutely. Right now, Jayden Daniels is our leading rusher on offense with 737 yards and 6 touchdowns. B-Rob with 729 rushing yards and 8 touchdowns. And right now, the Atlanta Falcons defense are 11th in rushing yards and 20th in passing yards, which goes to my next question, Hall. And this one was from Chris Comerton in the Discord. After B-Rob's performance against the Eagles, do you think he's going to come out hungry against the Falcons? Possible 120-plus yards and 2 touchdown game.
I would hope so. Yeah, I think last time he played the Falcons, he scored. He caught a pass off the backfield, trucked the dude, and ran him over.
I'm pretty sure that was poor weather game too. I think it was raining during that.
Yeah, it was raining. I feel like it rained before the game, but then it wasn't raining during the game. But field was like all wet and messed up. But yeah, yeah, I think he's gonna have a bounce back game. The only thing that like slightly worries me, and I would never think B-Rob would like this guy because he seems like a dude that's mentally tough. Like obviously he's a tough dude. He got shot. But he seems like a mentally tough dude, but he comes on the junkies like every morning, every Tuesday, and he canceled his appearance after the 2 fumbles. He had a horrible game. So like, I thought like he's the type of person that strikes me as going to come on the radio, own up to it, say I got to be better, blah 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 blah. But for him to cancel that and be like, oh, I wasn't feeling good or whatever excuses people put out there, I was kind of like, but I also feel like. He's played at Alabama. The dude hasn't fumbled. Literally, he didn't fumble in high school. He didn't fumble all throughout college. He played in the SEC at Alabama. So I feel like he's due for a bounce back. He's been our workhorse the entire year when he has been healthy and on the field. For the most part, he's been there. He's been the guy. So I have faith, and I know Cliff has faith. And they put him back in the game in the fourth quarter when it really counted and really mattered against the Eagles. So, yeah, I think that hopefully he gets his confidence back up. Hopefully this is a confidence builder for him going forward because we're going to need him in the playoffs. Because playoff football is all about controlling the clock, the run game, cold weather football. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a bounce back. I don't know if he gets 2 touchdowns, 120 yards, but I'm not going to put any numbers on it. But I'll just say he has a bounce back.
Yeah, I really hope that he has that sort of stat line. I'm starting him this week in the championship round against Dan.
Yeah. Also, he killed me in fantasy this week, so I'm kind of salty.
Yeah, I know you are. But he better be hungry. I mean, everybody better be hungry coming into this game. You have the opportunity to seal the playoffs, and you're at home. And the last one, you're at home until the playoffs. And so you don't know how it's going to go. So no holds barred. Go out and inflict your will. And look, I'm not going to blame B-Rob or crap on him for canceling his Junkies appearance. He shouldn't have said what he said on the radio because you got to know that they are going to broadcast that. They are going to clip that and put it out there because they don't have your best intentions in mind, right? They want to garner attention themselves. And so I would imagine it's not he didn't cancel it because he fumbled. I think he canceled it because he was kind of like, all right, I shouldn't be doing that, right? And so it's kind of a maturing aspect for B-Rob, of course, but I think it's very indicative of the fact of not going to do that. I'm just going to focus on the game this week and go about my business there, of course. But you obviously would tell B-Rob, you got to take the bullets when they're flying. Got to take it on the chin, of course. But it's one of those things where you probably shouldn't have said that last week. It's okay. Nick Sirianni and the company, they're looking for something to be pissed off
he was partially right. They won the game. So, they were the better team that day. But
you're right.
He wasn't up to his standard of play. So I feel like he was probably like,
and it doesn't help.
I let the team down. Like I put us in a position to lose the game type thing. So.
It doesn't help that he said that we think we're the better team, says that, and then fumbles twice early. That's just the addition.
Oh yeah, the optics. Yeah, the optics of it.
I mean, but look at it this way, and just to defend him, maybe he wasn't talking about the team as just functionality, but maybe he's like, we're better brotherhood than the Eagles because we got the Dan Quinn doesn't need a babysitter. He's not trying to fight defensive linemen on the sidelines and everything like that. So, I mean,
That's a good point.
That's what he's talking about. But, I mean, it's the Junkies, too. Don't get me started. But, you know.
Yeah. If for Nick Sirianni to, talk crap to Zach Ertz after that game and had to be separated by Big Dom, who apparently, like you said, is his babysitter, was absolutely just dreadful. But good for Zach Ertz for being the bigger man in that sense and having something to say to Sirianni, of course. But honestly, B-Rob should be hungry. And like Anthony said, he should be like just not letting it become an issue. It never was before. But just getting back to business, man. This team needs you, not to get into your head and everything like that. And so tunnel vision, just stay the course and do your job. You have anything to add, Corey, before we do predictions?
No, man, I think y'all hit it on the head. And B-Rob, if you need to watch a video about getting excited and not dropping anything, watch my celebration. I almost dropped the baby, but we were good. I didn't drop him at all, and I was excited because you know what? You can say I did that. I made that man almost drop his baby.
High and tight. Keep the baby high and tight.
Just high and tight, and forget it. Erase that out of your memory because you know what it's like to be a champion. You know what championship football is, and you know how to prepare like a champion. You did it at Alabama. You can do it here as well. So just forget about it. Marty Schottenheimer said it the best to LT, right? It's not about the last play. It's about the next play.
Absolutely. And actually, great piece of advice there. Imagine it's a baby, B-Rob. You can't drop the baby. Like Corey is saying, just imagine it's a baby.
Don't drop the yellow cake.
You got to protect him. You got to protect him. Now, let me list some stats before we do predictions. I'll go with you, Corey, first. Atlanta is coming into this game 8-7. They are 4-3 in away games. The offense, they are 28th in red zone with 48%, 19th in points per game, averaging 21.8. They are 6th in passing yards with 236 per game, 12th in rushing yards with over 124. They are 15th in third down conversion percentage. Washington offensively, 7th in red zone, 4th in points per game, 16th in passing yards, 3rd in rushing yards, 6th on third down. Washington defensively, 26th in red zone, 19th points per game, 4th in passing yards, 29th in rushing yards, and 16th in third down conversion percentage. Falcons are 23rd in red zone on defense, tied for 20th in points per game, 20th in passing yards, 11th in rushing yards, and 28th in third down conversion percentage. That being said, Corey, what's your prediction?
Burgundy gold dub. Burgundy gold dub. That's all it is. This reminds me, I don't know, because y'all, we're all in that same age category. But do y'all remember when we had to clinch the division back in '99? It was Sunday Night Football. We went out to San Francisco. It was a close game. Stephen Davis had that. I believe Stephen Davis had the touchdown run in overtime. It's going to be a grinded out game. It's going to be a gritty game. But I think if Cliff can get his stuff together and become physical Cliff and focus on the run and let the run set up the pass, I think you have an opportunity here to finish what would be 7-2 at home, probably one of our best home stretches in the history of this building, I would think. So, go out there, show the world that we mean business because it is on Sunday Night Football. And, maybe Chris Collinsworth can drool over us instead of Patrick Mahomes. I'm looking forward to it. I just can't wait till we get quote retweeted about how Penix is better than Jayden Daniels up until it the whole time. So, I hate the Pigeons, and I'm going to hate on the Falcons today too. Just go out there and beat them, man. Just play ball, and we'll win.
Yep, you're absolutely right. It's time for bird
Kirk
hunting.
Cousins' retirement party, y'all, at Kyle's house afterwards. So we're going to go to Delaware afterwards and have a good time.
You're my man. And I forgot to say this earlier, but Arch asked, how do you wrap up Penix? Like, teeth. That's how you do it. Teeth.
All in the Trojan forces.
My man.
Put a gold jacket on him.
That being said, the Falcons are 9th on offense and giving up in sacks, only giving up 1.9 per game. But Washington defensively are 10th on defense in sacks with forcing 2.6 per game. So it's going to be huge for Washington to get after Penix in this one. I think what I've said before is the kind of way you go about it. It's going to be the ground and pound. I'm not sure if we're going to rely on Jayden's legs so much in this game, given the weather and the kind of situation about that, because you're going to have to rely on the trucks more than you are the Ferraris, right? And so I think that's probably the MO that you're going to go with. I could see Zach Ertz having a big one in this one, just being the catches, extending the third downs. So Washington is going to have to sustain the run, implement their will on the defense there, and keep the chains short, because the threat of Jayden's legs are not going to be as evident as they were before, given the weather and the circumstances. But I'll say it again, like I always do, the turnovers, this would be a really good time to start heating up in the turnover margin. And this is something they could really increase with themselves. And so it's going to be run the football sustainably, keep their offense and their weapons on the sideline, grind that defense out and make sure they're beat up, and then let B-Rod run roughshod in the second half and control this game outright and be able to go win that football game. So I'll say 24-13, Washington wins. Hall?
Yeah, I think it's going to be because of the weather, I think it's going to be a gritty kind of low scoring for what we usually put up as far as points and like how our games go. It's going to be a low scoring, kind of gritty, grimy, a lot of running the football type of game, defensive type of game. I think Luvu is going to make a couple of big plays. He's going to be my player of the game for this game. I think he makes a couple of big plays. Maybe he forces a turnover like he did last week. And yeah, I think that defense is going to do what they usually do, bend but don't break. I think B-Rob gets back to what he's been doing majority of the season when he's been healthy, which is 80 plus 60, 70, 80 yards and a touchdown. And yeah, I think Jayden probably throws 1 or 2 touchdowns. So I'll give us the win. I think it's going to be a close one just because coming off the emotional, crazy win of last week, it's going to obviously you guys know, like when you get an emotional, crazy win like that, it's hard to come out the next week with the same kind of like juice and fire and intensity. Usually takes a while to kind of get you going, get you into the game. So, yeah, low scoring game. I got us winning. I'll go 20. Let's call it 24-20.
Yeah, and given the weather circumstances, this is not the game to get down early and having to throw your way back into it, given with what possibly is going to be coming down on Sunday night. All right, everybody, we can't thank you enough for joining us. I'm going to be there on Sunday night with my wife. Cannot wait for this Sunday night matchup to be able to go out there and enjoy going back home, of course. Corey, I can't thank you enough for taking some time out from your opera house and when you're about to perform here. But before you get out of here, brother, if you'd like to plug your social media handle and your show.
Yeah, YouTube on the Warpath. Some people say Amazon Prime now. Also, at Sanchez 405 on the Instagram, on the X. I'm not petty. This is just how I am. So when you see that, it's no offense to anybody. Yes, it is. I'm lying. No, I appreciate you, Mr. Kyle, for allowing me to on your platform. As always, it's an honor to be on here with you, Brother Hall. Congratulations, that baby girl is beautiful.
Congrats to you too, my man.
That's it. And Kyle's got us beat though. His daughter has the best name in all of history. So and it's spelled better too. So no, and I appreciate you guys. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and I'm just getting ready for some basketball here where I'm at right now.
Okay.
So, holiday tournament, I'll be on the radio. Plug up there. If you're looking for something to listen to, we're on WLSD. Yes, that is a radio station, but we're not tying off. We're just calling off. So appreciate you boys as always.
I was about to say, you're at where I was in my early 20s. All right, everybody. We'll see you again on Sunday night. Or actually, no, Monday, because I'm going to the game. We're staying overnight in the area. So Monday, we'll probably be doing an episode later in the day. But can't thank you guys enough. You made it this far. You're a frickin' champion. I'm Kyle.
I'm Hall.
I am Corey. Yeah, that's who I am.
All right, Corey. Enjoy your ballet recital. We'll see you guys again. Let's get this dub this weekend. Washington football. Woo!
Peace.
What's up, everyone? This is Kyle from the Burgundy Zone. We are releasing our own merch to support the show. If you want to rock the Burgundy Zone logo or you want to see Reed's face on your shirt, we got it. We're starting with t-shirts, hoodies, and zip-up. So if you're a fan of the show, Make sure you snag one before they are gone. Check out the link in our bio on Instagram, or you can find the link in the description of the video. Thanks again for all your support. Until next time.